In today's Leeds news, international roundup, new pro deals signed, under 16 signs on. Gardner wants to give opportunities. Leeds linked player can go in January. Buonanotte decision slammed by agent. Finance expert says Leeds have PSR headroom. And Daniel Farke will have ref issues for Burnley. Hey folks, welcome to the Leeds View. It is Tuesday morning, the 14th of October with your Leeds United news. We'll try and get through this one quick enough so I don't end up in convulsions. I'm still sick, just getting through this, kicking the crap out of me. But I hope you're all having a really good week so far. We've got some detailed news to get into, so we won't faff about today and we'll crack on with the news. And we'll start off with the international roundup. As some of Leeds' international contingent begin to return to the club, others will still have a few days, but we'll talk about the ones that have played so far. Starting off with Joe Rodon, played 90 minutes for Wales in their 4-2 home loss to Belgium, and Joe scored for Wales in that game and picked up the Man of the Match award. It's been a good international break for Rodon. Carl Darlow played 90 minutes, unfortunately had to deal with 4 goals going past him. Ethan Ampadu, 90 minutes under his belt and no real issues for him, so the Welsh contingent will be back at Thorpe Arch likely either today or tomorrow, more likely. Let's move on to Jakob Bial, and another solid performance as he clocked up 2 90 minutes and 2 clean sheets during this break. It puts him in a very strong position to contest for the starting lineup against Burnley. Also called out for praise from the Slovenian media. Gabby Gudmundsson played 80 minutes for Sweden in their 1-0 loss to Kosovo, which leaves Sweden bottom of the table and in a really tough position to get qualification for this summer's World Cup. Brendan Aronson was an unused sub at the weekend and kicks off at 2 a.m. tonight for their friendly against Australia, giving him very little turnaround time to get back for the game against Burnley. Tanaka is currently in action against Brazil as we record this in a friendly, and again, same situation as Brendan, will likely not get back to Elland Road until Thursday, likely at best. Let's move on and talk about a new pro deal. Another Leeds United under-21 has put pen to paper and signed a professional deal. Leeds attacker Devin Brockie has signed his first professional deal at Leeds United and has signed a deal that will keep him at the club until the end of 2026. The 18-year-old has played 5 times so far for Scott Gardner's under-21 side this season and scored last week against West Brom. Devin's a good player. He's a very strong build of a player, physical attacker as well. And very versatile, has played in lots of positions along that front line as well. So well done to Devin Brockie on signing his deal. Another I want to move on to is talking about a new under 16 contract, and this one went slightly under the radar over the course of the weekend, and Leeds have signed a new addition to their under 16 squad. Newcastle Benfield announced on their social media that Leeds United have signed Toby Johnson on a youth contract and will join up with the Leeds United under 16 side. We will keep an eye on Toby and see how he gets on over the course of the year. Let's move on and talk about Scott Gardner as he gets ready for the Premier League International Cup match against Atletico Bilboa. Leeds under-21 coach Scott Gardner is getting ready for the under-21 Premier League International Cup game tomorrow night against Atletico Bilboa and is keen to make sure as many of the academy players get opportunities to play in this side. Leeds beat Sporting Lisbon's B side in the first game of the competition, who currently sits second in the Portuguese second tier, so a really good result for them. And Gardner wants to take that form into this game. Gardner was speaking to One Football and said that they will approach this game the same way they approach every game and will look for opportunities to hurt the opposition. And speaking on the game, he had the following to say. If we can build on what we did against Sporting, hopefully it will be a good night for us. I thought all round, on and off the ball, we showed the best version of ourselves. We also managed some moments where they tried some clever bits and pieces off the ball. We do our homework on everybody, but again, the main focus for us is to just highlight some moments where we probably need to be a little bit more savvy. Scott says he approaches every single game the same way, and it's been a very busy season for the under-21 so far this season. And as I keep pointing out, it's an incredibly young Leeds United squad, but the bulk of this squad being 18 years of age, and a lot of them could actually still play for the Leeds United under-18. So they're hopefully will have Harry Gray back for that game as well. He's been out with a hip flexor injury. Alfie Creswell's back in the squad, as well as Sam Chambers, who's also returned to that squad. And we'll see how they get on in that match on Wednesday night. We will cover on bigup.com for those interested in that. Let's move on. And over the past few weeks, some names have continued to do the rounds connected with a possible January move to Leeds United. And Lorenzo Pellegrini at Roma is one, Harry Wilson at Fulham is another, but Peter Zielinski at Inter Milan is a name that has come back around again. Former Leeds United striker Jermaine Beckford would like to see Leeds United revisit the decision to try and sign Harry Wilson from Fulham, a player that he said he likes, and commented on his footballing intelligence. But Zielinski is the name that is on the back sheets today in Italy. According to Corriere dello Sport, they say that Zielinski is free to leave Inter Milan this January for a fee of in and around £8.7 million. They go one step further to say he's not only available to go, but he's expected to go in January. The main issue for any club looking to sign Zielinski is likely his wages. He's on £140,000 per week, which would put him outside of Leeds United's pricing structure. However, according to this report today, they say the player is expected to massively reduce his wage demands in order to get a move to a decent sized club or a Premier League move as well. Leeds have been mentioned regularly over the last couple of months as interested parties in Zielinski, although no formal offers have been put on the table at this point. The bigger issue in this situation is the age, although not at the end of his peak years at all. At 31 years of age, he is above the 49ers' usual 28-year-old bracket that they tend to go for him, and that may rule Leeds out of a move. Pellegrini also falls into that bracket as well. But Zielinski has been playing at the top of European football for quite some time now, and between 2016 and 2024, while playing at Napoli, he scored 51 goals and added 46 assists in 364 games, and he would add a lot of experience to this Leeds United squad and quality as well. Whether Leeds make a move for him or not remains to be seen. It's not gone well since he moved to Inter Milan, and he is keen to move now and kickstart his career, maybe coming into a side like Leeds United and being a player of experience level and higher calibre than maybe Leeds can afford to buy from the Premier League. Could be a player that Leeds look at, but it's very much in the rumour mill territory, that one right now, so we'll pinch of salt it and we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. In a similar drama to Cody Gakpo, Leeds had a plane on the ground to take Facundo Buonanotte from Brighton to Leeds United, but the player never boarded that plane and in the last minutes decided for a move to Chelsea. At the time, Buonanotte said the main reason for the move was his desire to play Champions League football, which you can't really disagree with. However, when Chelsea not announced their Champions League squad, Buonanotte's name was a notable absentee. He might get back into that squad depending on a couple of injuries right now. But now unnamed football agents have slammed his decision to move to Chelsea and labelled Buonanotte as one of the worst transfers in the Premier League this summer. He's played 90 of his 190 minutes for Chelsea so far this season against Lincoln City in the EFL Cup, and The Athletic have revealed a survey with 20 unnamed agents regarding this summer's transfers, and when asked who was the worst, Buonanotte was at the top of the pile along with Manchester United's Benjamin Sesko. Although Sesko's form has very much improved since then, Buonanotte is still a bit par player for Chelsea. It was a bizarre decision from Buonanotte at the time to make that move. I think if we've all looked at where Leeds are this year with the injuries to Willie Gnonto and Dan James, Buonanotte would have had plenty of Premier League minutes so far on that right hand side for Leeds. But it'll be interesting to see how it finishes up. If he doesn't get the minutes between now and Christmas, he could end up back at Brighton come January, and we'll see how that one pans out in the longer term. Let's move on and talk about a football finance expert who's disagreeing with Robbie Evans. Leeds managing director Robbie Evans said that Leeds United had maxed their PSR this year and any newcomings in January would need exits, but that's not the case according to football finance expert Adam Williams, who believes Leeds United are bluffing and do have some room for incomings without sales come January. Williams has detailed his thoughts on Evans speaking to Leeds United News, and he said the following on the topic. On first glance, I can see why some Leeds fans are questioning why they didn't spend more in the summer transfer window and why there will be demands come January. Teams promoted to the Premier League are moving towards a model where you drop 100 to 150 million or more to fix your squad to compete in the there and then. So you have one higher risk strategy and then you've got one that is aiming for more sustainable growth, and Leeds seem to have fallen between the cracks of the two. It's true that Leeds were limited more by PSR than Sunderland, but I think that they probably could have spent more without any immediate issues, and I think that they do have capacity come January. Williams doesn't believe that Leeds have not given themselves any wiggle room when it comes to their PSR headroom, stating that PSR is really determined at the end of the season based on your league position. He also says that should Leeds United get an FA Cup run, that would also put millions in the kitty as well. Williams finished off his piece by saying the following. In Leeds' case, however, it looks like they simply didn't manage to get their deals that they wanted on deadline day. It was a strategic thing rather than a PSR issue in my view. That's before we look at the actual cash that's in the bank at Leeds, which is a separate analysis to PSR. He's not the first football finance expert to disagree with Robbie Evans' comments about maxing out on PSR and spending every single available penny, as Parag Marathe said that they would do. And maybe it is the case that Leeds are bluffing and trying to bring in a player in January under the radar, or at least not give their hand to other clubs, which wouldn't be unusual. They made a very interesting point after they missed out on Igor Pajot in the summer, saying that although that money was available for him, it was only available for special players, and it wouldn't be necessarily the case that it would be available for every player. So Leeds might be trying to play a little bit of 4D chess, although I don't think many teams will fall for that once Leeds United do contact them about potential moves. But we'll see how Leeds lowballing transfers works out in January. Let's move on to the final story of today, and it's Daniel Farke possibly having issues with a referee come Burnley. Leeds manager Daniel Farke will have two issues to contend with for the game against Burnley. The first is Leeds' poor record after international breaks, and the second will be the referee. Tim Robinson has been appointed as the man in the middle for the game against Burnley this weekend. A man with just 39 top flight matches under his belt to date. However, this season, in 3 games, he appears to be slightly card and whistle happy, giving out 14 yellow cards in 3 games and awarding 66 free kicks during that time as well. But Farke has had issues with Robinson before. Robinson was the referee who failed to identify the handball by Luke O'Nien during Leeds' 0-0 draw with Sunderland 2 years ago in the Championship. Again, they also saw Dan Ballard elbow a ball and get away with it as well. And as we know, Leeds United missed out on promotion that season. That game could have been crucial at that time. But Farke commented on at the time, saying that he was expecting another apology letter from the EFL. But this goes back before Farke's time, even back to Marcelo Bielsa's time at the club. He was involved in the controversial decision in 2019 to award a penalty against Ben White in the match against Fulham, which Leeds lost 2-1. A decision that definitely wasn't a penalty. But Farke will likely not want to talk about this in his press conference before the game. He will want to focus on the match at hand, but he might comment on it after the game, as he has already this season. And Leeds United games have had far more interference from referees so far this season than they should have had, and Farke will be hoping for a quiet day at the office come Saturday. But that'll be it for me today, folks. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. We'll try and get a podcast out tonight. I'll see how I feel. If I'm just a bit under the weather at the moment, it might be tomorrow night instead, but we'll try and get something out later on if we can. Outside that, you can check out yesterday's news about Andrea Radrizzani potentially returning to the club and looking to possibly come and watch the West Ham United game when Leeds take them on in a week or 2 time. So you can check that one out if you want it. And let me know down below your thoughts on that. There is a poll running on the channel which will expire at some point today, and it's on X as well if you want to get your thoughts in on that. And it's pretty much split down the middle at the moment, which I'm surprised at. But yeah, everyone's entitled to their opinion. But it's some more forgiving than others. Some will hold a grudge. Some willing to move on from it and look at the positives over the negatives. But you can check that out if you want to. Outside that, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.